What's up, guys? Welcome to Touchdown Talk, where everything and anything football goes. I'm your host, Jason, and today we have our Friday episode 4 of NFL news in 10 minutes or less. So we last left off episode 3 on Wednesday afternoon. So we're going to be picking up Wednesday night, going over the news from Wednesday night, Thursday, and then Friday morning, and some of Friday afternoon as to where this is being recorded. So we're going to get back on Wednesday. Let's go with after we left off. It was Wednesday night where Josina Anderson reported that the Seattle Seahawks still have a high level of interest in acquiring Baker Mayfield, and behind the scenes they're open to extending Baker Mayfield. So obviously Baker Mayfield has been tied to the Seattle Seahawks for quite some time now. Baker Mayfield and the Seattle Seahawks were one of those teams where it was like, if Baker leaves, he's either going to go to Carolina or Seattle. Now, Carolina has their quarterback, we think, right now. They drafted Matt Corral. So, Seattle, kind of the only logical spot for Baker. I feel like he'll fit in really well. I mean, he has Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf there already. So, he's got the weapons on offense. And then all he needs to worry about is just the protection from his offensive line. He has a veteran coach in Pete Carroll who's been there, done that. And Baker now, you can call him a veteran. So it's not like Drew Lock, where Lock was replaced, doesn't have that much experience. But Baker, he really just needs a resurgence in his career. And he needs a team to want him and put their trust in him to be their starting quarterback and not disrespect him in any way. So I feel like if Baker can go to Seattle and Seattle does make a trade offer for Baker, I mean, Cleveland would have to do it at some point, because Cleveland, if you look at them, it's not like they have a choice at this point. Now, Deshaun Watson most likely going to be suspended, but Baker doesn't want to be in Cleveland. Cleveland doesn't want him, and this is a way of Cleveland getting rid of his money. So all in all, it would be a great deal for all three sides involved with the Seahawks, Baker, and the Browns. So in reality, this should get done. I hope it gets done for all teams' sake. I hope Baker gets to resurge his career in Seattle, and then Seattle gets a quarterback for their franchise. That way they don't have to worry about losing Lockett or Metcalf. And then Cleveland just gets that burden off of them, so it's not awkward during training camp and the season if Baker's just sitting there with Jacoby Brissett. Then Wednesday night we had some other terrible news, and unfortunately we had another passing, this time of Tony Saragusa. He passed at the age of 55. Sorry if I mispronounced his name, but obviously the entire NFL world coming together to share their thoughts. Dan Marino posted something on his Instagram to where he was just reaching out saying that he was a great man. So a lot of guys, they're really going, and it's just sad to see happen. But these things happen, and he's still young, 55. He's not up there in age yet, but just to see someone pass at such a young age in their life, it's just really sad, especially when you see all the people in the NFL who show their love for him, whether he was a great man, a player. So they all rallied around this. And then Thursday, we're going to move into where we had some news following DeAndre Hopkins and his suspension. Now, DeAndre Hopkins said that the failed drug test, which resulted in a 6-game suspension, was league's performance-enhancing drug policy, and it was due to a contamination sample. So, Hopkins said, and I quote, "There was 0.1% found in my system. I don't take any supplements. I've never taken supplements. I barely take vitamins. So for something like that to happen to me, obviously I was shocked, but my team and I were still trying to figure out what's going on." Now, Hopkins said this according to Arizona Public's Bob McMahon. So obviously DeAndre Hopkins coming out and speaking on it. At the time, it didn't make sense because, DeAndre Hopkins, such a great receiver, and we see these things happen with players all the time. And DeAndre Hopkins obviously feels that he didn't do anything, that he's saying that he doesn't take supplements. So if DeAndre Hopkins is coming out and saying this, and, they're going to try to fight it, but as long as the team and Hopkins knows that they weren't taking supplements, then that's all that really matters. His 6-game suspension is going to happen either way. So as long as he can clear this up with the team and they can figure out the truth, all in all, that's the most important part. As long as both sides are able to figure out the truth, then it's nothing against Hopkins. They figured out that it was a contamination or it wasn't, and that way the team can make a decision on whether they could fully trust DeAndre Hopkins once again. Obviously, we know the kind of player he is and the impact he has with that team, with the organization, and with Kyler Murray. I don't think Kyler Murray's at the level he is without Hopkins at receiver, but it's going to be interesting to see how Kyler does play without Hopkins there for the first 6 weeks. And then Thursday, we also had some news on Alvin Kamara. Now this we kind of figured, but Alvin Kamara is bracing for a suspension of at least 6 games due to the violation of league's personal conduct policy per Mike Florio. Now this is all coming back to the incident in Vegas during the Pro Bowl where Kamara was arrested in Vegas. So this is all dating back to then. So Alvin Kamara most likely facing a suspension, but we knew this was going to come eventually because he was arrested in Vegas. It was during the Pro Bowl, so we knew this was coming, but Mike Florio just giving a little update that Kamara is bracing for it. And then we had big news, and that is that the training camp reporting dates and locations were announced. So as you can see on the screen right now as I'm talking, these are the dates and times and locations for each team, where they will be playing, where they will be training for their training camp, where the training camp is going to be taking place, what time, when it is, and the dates for rookies and veterans to show up to camp. Now, every team is different. There are some teams, as you can see, where rookies and vets show up at different times. Some teams give their veterans an extra week or so, and then other teams have veterans and rookies come in at the same time. So just take a look at your team and see what your team's kind of doing. If, your team's one of those teams where they're resting their veterans for an extra limited time, maybe a week or so, or if yours is one of those teams where all of your players are coming in together, drop it in the comments and let me know which team is yours and what you agree and disagree with what your team's doing. Maybe you feel your team should place their rookies and veterans in at the same time, or vice versa, where you want to give your veterans an extra additional break and rest from the offseason. But moving on to Friday, where we had Chicago Bears linebacker Matthew Adams arrested on a misdemeanor gun charge. Now, per Patrick Finley and David Strutt of the Chicago Sun, the police announced Adam was charged with a misdemeanor, illegal gun possession, and possessing a high-capacity magazine and metal-piercing bullets after he was spotted near a vehicle that has been reported as stolen. So, as you can see, I'm looking in a different direction. That's because I'm looking at my laptop to get the exact news so I don't mess anything up. I want to get the most accurate reporting out there so you guys have the most accurate information so you guys know exactly what's going on. So that is why I'm looking over and glancing over at my laptop to get the exact locations, the exact people who reported, the players, where it happened, and what happened in any case. So when there's a quote or when there's news, I'm always looking to see. That way I can get the entire quote and news correct before I break it down. So obviously, Bears linebacker getting arrested. So big news for the Bears. Now, Matthew Adams was recently with the Colts, now with the Bears, so kind of moving around a little. He's a veteran in the league, but he's not one of those star-caliber linebackers. So this isn't going to be a player who's arrested and it's going to hurt the Bears tremendously. But in a sense, they're going to miss his presence in the locker room, on the field, especially since he's a veteran and he's been around the league. And then the last bit of news that we had Friday afternoon was that Saints linebacker Demario Davis reached an agreement to update his contract. Now, Field Yates broke this down on his Twitter, so I'm going to put that here for you guys so you can see his breakdown. So I'm going to just list it off real quick. Now, Field Yates reported that $2 million gets in incentives for the 2022 through 2024 with $6 million in max, and then 2023 base salary drops from $8.5 mil to $8.25 mil. But he adds a $250K workout bonus, and $1 million of the salary is guaranteed. So Demario Davis, phenomenal linebacker, phenomenal player, and great leader for the Saints. Well-deserved money, well-deserved contract, and the Saints are really going to need him on the field this year, especially when they're going to contend in that NFC. Now that is going to be it for this video. Episode 4 of NFL News in 10 minutes or less. Episode 5 will be out Monday, covering all the weekend news and Monday's news.